What's up, guys, and welcome back to the melting pot. Today we're gonna make some local style Hawaiian beef stew. I got a couple of requests for this recipe, so Konomi and Mikey, this one's for you. Let's get in the kitchen. Here's everything you need to get started for beef stew. As always, guys, the ingredients are going to be listed in that description box below. So here we have our 3-pound chuck roast. We're going to start by breaking it down in sections. This will allow us to cut the meat more evenly into bite-sized chunks. Here there's some silver skin. So we're going to use the point of our knife and go under it and cut it out. And we're going to try and cut our pieces of beef to about this size. To shorten the video, I prepped the vegetables off screen, but just make sure you cut the vegetables all similar size to this, right here. And here we have a paper towel. Now I'm going to wet that and place it underneath our cutting board so it doesn't slide around, perfectly safe. Now we're going to dice 3 small cloves of garlic, and we're going to add that to our meat to season it before we brown it. First, start off by slicing vertically, and then once horizontally, and then dice down to small pieces, just like that. Now we're going to add our diced garlic to our meat and season it up with kosher salt liberally and seasoned salt, along with some black pepper. Add some olive oil and give it a mix. Set that on the side for 15 minutes and we're ready to brown. Now into our cast iron, we're going to add olive oil and our meat. Here I made a big mistake. You'll see why quickly. I was trying to rush and I was loading all the meat into the pan and I ended up overcrowding it. So what you're going to see here is that the pan's not going to have enough heat, which is going to release water into the pan, and it's going to essentially boil the meat, preventing it from getting a nice brown caramelized texture. Here you can see all the water coming out. No good. Well, I'm here to make the mistakes so you guys don't make them. The meat turned out a little bit gray, but that's going to be okay. A little bit browning. We don't really want to overcook the meat, so at this stage we're going to remove the meat from the pan and we're going to try and get rid of all that excess liquid. This next part, we have our fond here. Don't get rid of that. We're going to add a little bit more olive oil and introduce our carrots, potatoes, and celery. We're going to season in layers again, salt and pepper. We're going to give it a mix. At this stage, we're just trying to heat it through. Now when it looks like this, we're going to be ready to add our mushrooms in. We're going to season our mushrooms, and that salt is going to help draw out some of the water from the mushrooms. Going to give it a good mix. And then we're ready to add our onions and garlic. Season in there one more time. Give it a mix and make sure nothing's burning on the bottom. Now we're ready to add our Italian seasonings to our vegetables. Now we're ready to add our tomato paste. Just like in the spaghetti video, you don't want to walk away from the stove. Keep that mixing or else you'll burn and you have to start all over. Now we're going to add our beef back into the pot with all the resting juices and slowly, carefully mix the pot. Now we're going to add our beef broth slowly to help incorporate the tomato paste evenly throughout the sauce. slowly add it. And use your wooden spoon to deglaze or scrape all the fond or seasonings from the bottom of the pan. So now we want to add our beef stock until it just barely covers all of the beef. The liquid levels should look something like this. And now, as always, we're going to use 2 bay leaves in any soups or stews that we make. We're going to add our Worcestershire sauce, which is going to help add umami to it. Here we're going to make sure that the liquid is covering majority of the beef stew before tasting for seasoning. Perfect. So you want to make sure that the stew is at a slight simmer before you cover it. And we're going to go into the oven at 325 for an hour and a half. So after an hour and a half, mine looked like this. We're looking for fork tender, so I decided to put it back for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is up. We're gonna pull it out. Let's see how we did. Whoa. If you could smell this right now. We're gonna check the meat, perfectly fork tender. I'm gonna risk my fingers. Burned it. Look how soft. Okay, time for some finishing touches. For some sweetness, we're gonna add a little bit of ketchup, and saltiness, we're gonna add a splash of shoyu. Shout out to my friend Rob for the chef's tips. Make sure you use these sparingly as they might overpower your sauce. Now here we're gonna scrape down the sides to make sure that all the flavors are incorporated in the sauce. Make sure when you taste test, use a spoon because it burnt my chin. So I'm gonna grab some rice, kimchi, and look at that beef stew. You guys know what time it is. Meat super juicy and soft. Look at that bite. Yo.
Thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button below and subscribe to our channel. I've been slowly working on a ramen video, but that's gonna take some time, so stay tuned. But until next time, aloha.